Hey everybody, uh, Brian at Strong Tower Training, functional aging specialist and neurotrainer with Z Health. I'm excited to bring you the Anti Hunchback stack today. So we see obviously a lot of people on these little things called cell phones these days, and they oftentimes are seated or standing a lot like this. And a lot of times we could do well just to basically bring our posture back up. But what happens when we're hunched forward, head is forward, neck and shoulders are rounded, we actually multiply the amount of weight of the head by 2 to 3 times and create a significant amount more stress on these extensor muscles in the neck and the upper back. So it can lead to headaches, it can lead to eye strain, bunch of other issues that kind of, if you don't get out of that posture over time, periods of months and years, tends to potentially create more issues, maybe even in the spinal cord, and then up into obviously head, neck, the visual system, the vestibular system, or balance system. So what I'm going to walk you through today is a couple exercises or drills that you can do to combat that. For the Facebook Live, I'm going to give you a couple things, and then our clients are going to do more cranial nerve activation, kind of give more ideas. There's really 4 cranial nerves that we're going to talk about in the second half of the video that can be fantastic to stack to actually create faster, more powerful change in the nervous system to help get out of that posture even more so. So the first one, for the Facebook Live people, and clients as well, we're going to go into an anterior VOR. And the VOR is a vestibulo-ocular reflex, really kind of short, simple. It's what helps you move your head and neck and communicates with the vestibular system or the inner ear, and also at the same time the visual system to help your eyes stay stable on a target. So the anterior head forward VOR is a fantastic drill for that kyphotic posture because it helps those extensor muscles in the back of the neck actually engage, helps kind of light them up, turn them on a little bit better. So our first one, we're just going to hold a pen out in front. You could do this seated. Encourage you, if you do have balance issues, get checked out obviously first with a healthcare professional that can do that for you. Vestibular physical therapist. They're actually like specialized physical therapists that work in vestibular rehab, so it might be somebody good to get checked with. If it's a significant issue, the physical therapist would probably send you to a neurologist. But checking off that your balance is probably pretty good, you could start in a seated position. That's the safer bet, and then moving to a standing position. So I've done a whole bunch of these. I'm going to start standing, and so I'm holding a pen out in front of me. It has letters on it, so I'm looking at the letters. I'm going to keep my eyes on the target, making sure the target stays clear the entire time while I do a fast forward head movement. So I'm just dropping my chin in towards my chest. I'm going to come back out long and tall, slow. So the downward movement, or the anterior VOR, we want to be fast because we want to actually stimulate those anterior canals and give them more stimulus on the way down versus the posterior canals now on the way up. So if you did a couple of those, 3 to 5, and you're feeling taller already, fantastic, we're on the right track. The other thing in this stack that we're going to talk about is inhibition for the midbrain. So sometimes the midbrain or mesencephalon gets overactive, and we need to create some inhibition. There's a couple ways to do that. One example is an eye patch. So I can patch one eye or the other. I'm going to go with right eye today. Right eye open, left eye patched. So we're going to repeat that same exercise now with less visual information coming in. Again, you would start seated and then fast down, slow on the way up for that VOR. The target could be at different distances. You could play around with looking at something on the wall or holding up a pen like this. And again, the target should remain clear as you do that forward head movement into the VOR. So we're specifically there stimulating, again, anterior canals. The second exercise, if you're on Facebook Live, is an infinity walk or a figure 8 walk. There is an entire book on this one exercise by a doctor. First name's Deborah. I'm not coming up with her last name, but I'll post the link to that book in the comments. It's fantastic, and it talks about the connections between the inner ear, the vestibular system, and actually priming yourself and improving your ability to learn. So there's a cognitive connection to the vestibular system, and Dr. Deborah dives into a lot of that, and then how to apply different versions of the infinity walk. So this is a fantastic exercise. I just have 2 cones set out. I'm going to pick a visual target, in this case the camera, because it's kind of in between my cones today. So I'm picking a visual target in between the 2 cones. Then I'm going to weave like a figure 8 pattern with my hips moving forward around the cones and my head turning. So this exercise, I'm working on keeping the visual target clear the whole time. I'm working on gait, which we've been doing since we were kids, toddlers. So it's a ingrained pattern in the human nervous system, it should be. Hips stay forward, want a little bit of a shoulder turn. So I'm gonna head and shoulder turn. What this does is activates your VSR and your VCR. So your vestibulo-colic reflex, muscles, again, tying the vestibular system to the neck muscles to stabilize your head in motion, and your vestibulospinal reflex, the VSR, another key reflex that we want functioning really well. And you could do a couple figure 8 walks to start. You could also do that backwards. And again, posturally, the VSR and VCR are super important to get you out of that rounded forward hunchback posture. So guys, hope that helps. I'm going to cut the live and keep going for our clients on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps. And we'll post a link to that book in the comments here. All right. So cranial nerve stuff, you're still on with me here. The midbrain inhibition that we just did with the eye patch, fantastic. The other way that you can inhibit the midbrain really quick is pinhole glasses. So if I throw these on, I actually get immediate improvements in acuity. There's no corrective lenses in them. We could go back to figure 8 walks and test that with some midbrain inhibition now. So I have less visual input coming in, and when I'm focused on a letter, I actually get a significant improvement in acuity. So on the computer screen here, to give you an idea, the Pursue Excellence in the background was pretty blurry before. Now it's pretty much crystal clear. I can read it with a good level of clarity. So my brain responds really well to some midbrain inhibition and allows me to focus on that visual task and actually improve the acuity. Again, no corrective lenses in these. It's just dialing down the amount of visual input that my brain needs to pay attention to and allowing me to maybe more accurately focus the light, but also decrease stimulation so that I can do what I want the brain to do in this case, which is the task of visual acuity. So kind of cool. Then if we move into that anterior VOR again with the head movement forward, we can test stacking cranial nerves in. So cranial nerve 5 is your trigeminal nerve, and it has sensation to the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, as well as the muscles of mastication, so your chewing muscles, as well as pressure receptors underneath the teeth. So the pressure receptors in your gums tell you how hard you're biting down on something, and they prevent you from biting your tongue off. So in theory, the tongue sensors with those sensors in the gum are connected through cranial nerve 5 because obviously we don't want to bite down on the tongue. Doesn't feel very good if you've ever done it. So in this case with cranial nerve 5, you can bite in the middle. So I'm going to use a pen today. You could use something else if you want to, if you have something handy, a straw, wad up some tissue paper. You can bite in the middle. I know from past experience that's not my best drill. Like I don't respond as well from getting pressure in those baroreceptors, the pressure receptors in the front gums. I could go to the right, and I know for me, because I've tested this, to the left actually improves my balance, improves my strength, improves my range of motion sometimes. So if I bite left, and then I go back to my anterior VOR, I'm going to talk without the pen in my mouth, and we're going to drop the head fast, keeping the eyes on a visual target. So same drill, but now we're stacking cranial nerve 5 into the mix, and we might get a stronger result. So you'd want to assess and reassess. Your assessment could be like, am I long and tall? or am I in a hunched, rounded posture? Or it could be something like we do range of motion assessments, or balance assessments, or strength assessments. So bite on the pen, and then we're going to go anterior VOR, and up slow, down fast. And you could go through a few of those. So that's cranial nerve 5. The other one that's helpful in this anti-kyphotic, anti-hunchback stack is cranial nerve 7, and that's the facial nerve. You can start to layer these together if you really wanted to get a lot of input to the brain and the nervous system all at once. So your brainstem is going to get lit up with cranial nerve activity. So cranial nerve 7, again, it goes into the pons, which controls extension, same area that we're firing or working on activating when you do that anterior head movement. So the facial nerve, cranial nerve 7, you can stimulate by just doing some gentle rubbing on the face. So you could compare, does my forehead sensation feel the same right to left? Does my cheek sensation feel the same right to left? And then down on the jawline, is the sensation the same right to left? If there's an understimulated or underactive area, that might be your spot to start. And then you can again couple this exercise. Yes, I am gonna hand sanitize and wipe my stuff down after I'm done, if you're wondering. We're gonna drop the head forward into that anterior VOR while doing the facial nerve or cranial nerve 7. So stacking that one. Then we also have, some people may actually need the flexors, the muscles in the front of the neck, to be more stable and to get more active. So in that case, we need more activation from the medulla in the brainstem, which sits right below the pons. The medulla helps with these flexor muscles and helps improve flexor tone. So swallowing is cranial nerve 9, the glossopharyngeal nerve. And if we do like 3 rapid swallows right into our VOR, it's called time summation or temporal summation. Do this, then that. Don't have to do them at the same time unless you really want to try 3 fast swallows with your anterior VOR. But lengthen, I'm going to swallow fast. So stimulate cranial nerve 9, and then come right back into the anterior VORs. So those are ideas of stacking. We could stack cranial nerve 7 with cranial nerve 9, obviously a bunch of different combinations. Usually you want to target the specific brain areas that work together. So we do like maybe a lot of pons stimulus or a lot of medulla stimulus. Cranial nerve 10 is the vagus nerve, and a good one for that to activate it. It's activated with any vibration in the head, the chest area, and so humming actually creates some low-level vibration, low-intensity vibration, and stimulates cranial nerve 10. The vagus nerve has been called the healing nerve, and also it's been called the wandering nerve. So it goes from your medulla in the brainstem all the way down into your gut, sends messages back and forth from brain to gut. So for gut health, this is important. And it goes all the way down to your bladder. So for bladder control, this is also important. So humming with your anterior VOR would be the next step. So you could do a steady tone. You could hum a song, but it should be loud. Like you should be trying to project in your humming, and that's actually going to stimulate cranial nerve 10 a little bit better. Then we could go into coupling these things with your figure 8 walk. So we might find that we got a good response from the figure 8 walk. Let's try to make it even better. So maybe you need face touching while we're figure 8 walking. Maybe you need the bite, so left side bite while we're going through the figure 8. Maybe you need humming, so while you're going through. And then you can again reassess, find out what of these options works the best for you. Hope it helps. Hope you are longer, taller, just from working on posture and getting the correct muscles to engage, because that's going to help you move better, improve your longevity too. Thanks.